What happens when two of Hollywood's most admired figures sit down for what should have been a friendly, light-hearted chat, only for it to turn into one of the most awkward moments in daytime television history? The tension between Reese Witherspoon and Kelly Clarkson escalated from calm to explosive in just a few minutes. What unfolded left the studio audience stunned and the cameras capturing a scene nobody could have anticipated. Before we dive into exactly what was said that led Reese to storm off the stage, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment sharing whose side you take in this confrontation because, trust me, people are going to have strong opinions. The interview began innocently. Kelly welcomed Reese onto the show with her usual warmth, complimenting her latest work and asking about her production company. Reese smiled, settled into the guest chair, and the first few questions flowed smoothly. They talked about her upcoming film, her work behind the scenes, and the challenges of juggling multiple careers. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Then, Kelly shifted the conversation to a topic that clearly caught Reese off guard. She leaned forward, wearing that inquisitive look she gets when she's about to dig deeper, and asked, "So, Reese, there's been a lot of chatter about how you've built your brand around being relatable and representing everyday women, but some people say that image feels disconnected from reality considering your lifestyle. How do you respond to that?" Reese's expression changed instantly. Her smile tightened slightly, and there was a pause a beat too long before she replied, "Well, Kelly, I think that's a rather narrow way to view what I do. I've worked incredibly hard to create opportunities for women in this industry, both in front of and behind the camera. The idea that I can't relate to universal experiences just because I've been successful is honestly insulting." Kelly didn't retreat. She kept her friendly tone but pressed further. "I hear you, and nobody's questioning your work ethic or accomplishments. But I think people are noticing a difference between creating opportunities and truly understanding the struggles that most women face every day. When you're advocating from a position of immense privilege, doesn't that message lose some of its power?" Reese's jaw clenched visibly. "You know what, Kelly? I find it interesting that you bring this up, given you built your career on being the girl next door from Texas and now have your own talk show, multiple ventures, and are worth millions. Shouldn't we question your authenticity, too?" The audience went silent. Kelly laughed lightly, the kind of laugh people do to diffuse tension, and said, "That's fair. Totally fair. I'm not denying my privilege. But I've always been upfront about my background and where I am now. I'm not claiming to be the voice of everyday struggles anymore. That's the distinction I'm trying to make." Reese shifted in her seat, her posture defensive. "So what you're saying is because I've succeeded, I should stop advocating for women altogether? I should just sit back and not use my platform to discuss issues that matter?" Kelly shook her head. "No, not at all. I'm asking about the gap between the message and the messenger. You can advocate for women, absolutely. But when you're promoting that advocacy through products, books, and brands that many women can't afford, what's the real purpose? Is it advocacy or marketing?" That question lingered like smoke in the air. Reese stared at Kelly, considering whether to respond or avoid the topic. She chose to engage. "Wow. So now everything I've built is reduced to a marketing scheme. That's dismissive of the real work I've done. I've created jobs for hundreds of women. I've produced content that centers female stories. I've used my influence to change how women are portrayed in media. But sure, let's call it marketing." Kelly leaned back slightly, fully aware the conversation had veered into risky territory, but determined to continue. "I'm not saying it's all marketing, Reese. I'm saying that while your work is significant, some of it appears performative. The carefully curated book club choices, the lifestyle brand selling expensive clothes, the constant messaging about female empowerment with a price tag. Can you see how that might feel disingenuous to some people?" Reese's face reddened. "Performative? You really think what I do is performative? I wake up every day thinking about how to make space for women in this industry. I fight battles you can't even imagine. I attend meetings where I'm the only woman in the room. I push for equal pay, better roles, more female directors, and you suggest it's all an act?" The audience was silent now, some glancing nervously around the studio. The cameras continued rolling. Kelly took a deep breath. I'm not saying it's all an act. I'm asking you to acknowledge the complexity. You can do good work and still benefit from it in ways that make the message complicated. Both things can be true. Reese leaned forward, clearly upset. Now everything I've accomplished is just marketing. All the programs I've funded, the women I've mentored, the scholarships I've set up, and none of that counts because I also have a book club and a lifestyle brand? Kelly softened slightly. If you've done all that work, and I believe you have, why not highlight it? Why focus the public image so much on products and consumption? Because that's how the industry works, Kelly, Reese replied, her voice breaking slightly. Nobody funds female-led content out of pure goodwill. To create opportunities, I need money, power, influence. Selling products is part of how I do that. You're criticizing me for navigating the system we're all in. And that's what frustrates you, Kelly said, standing up, moving closer. I wanted a real conversation about privilege and messaging, not to make you the villain. I'm not your enemy here. I'm asking questions people are genuinely thinking. If you can't answer them without getting defensive, maybe the criticism has merit. Reese shook her head sharply. There's no winning here. I'm the celebrity being torn apart because I have money. That's the reality. You invited me here under the guise of a friendly interview and instead turned it into a tribunal. So yes, I'm leaving. I won't be your example to make a point about privilege and authenticity. Kelly looked shocked. Reese, come on. Can't we talk this through? No, Kelly, Reese said, her tone sharp. Not today. Not like this. You've already framed this entire conversation as an interrogation of my authenticity. There's no resetting from that. The damage is done. Kelly ran a hand through her hair, frustration and regret evident. What do you want me to say? I can apologize for pushing too hard, but I can't apologize for asking important questions. Reese scoffed bitterly. And I won't be the cautionary tale about successful women losing touch. I respect myself too much to be part of that. The audience was so silent you could hear everyone breathing. Phones buzzed faintly, emphasizing the tension. Kelly's voice softened. Off camera, can we talk? Reese gave a bitter smile. Now you want to talk off camera after you already broadcast this? That's convenient. Kelly's face flushed. I'm trying to fix this, to find a way forward. There's no way forward, Reese said firmly. You've shown me exactly who you are and how you view me. Your truth is that I'm a fraud selling empowerment while living in a bubble. That's your opinion. And fine. But I'm not here to let you dissect me. Kelly's shoulders sagged. You're really leaving? Reese gestured around the studio. This isn't a show anymore. It became a referendum on whether I deserve my success. I'm done validating this setup. Kelly's voice dropped, almost pleading. You can't acknowledge maybe you're being a little harsh too? Reese laughed hollowly. You want me to say I shut down the conversation? You accused me of being performative, inauthentic. You made me defend myself. I'm done here. The tension was electric, the audience frozen, unsure what would happen next. The cameras kept rolling as Reese's movements were sharp and decisive. She grabbed her purse, the scene leaving everyone watching on edge, knowing that this moment would be talked about for years. A stark reminder of how quickly conversations can shift and how fragile even the most public personas can be under scrutiny. The air in the studio remained thick, the silence heavy, and the clash between two strong women ended with no clear resolution, only the raw display of emotions and the weight of public perception pressing down on both of them. This was a conversation that was supposed to be light-hearted but ended up exposing the complexities, contradictions, and challenges of being a successful woman in Hollywood. It was raw, real, and uncomfortably revealing, leaving everyone to wonder what could have been handled differently and what this meant for both of their images moving forward. Reese didn't look back as she moved toward the edge of the stage, leaving Kelly standing in the studio, her expression a mix of regret, frustration, and realization that sometimes, no matter how good your intentions are, the impact of your actions can create consequences you never expected. And that was the moment that would be replayed in headlines, clips, and discussions for months to come. The audience was left in stunned silence, the producers behind the scenes whispering urgently, trying to figure out what had just happened and how it would be handled in the aftermath. Reese's exit wasn't just dramatic, it was a statement. It was a refusal to be used as an example or dissected publicly for personal gain. It was her way of taking control of her narrative, even if it meant walking away from a major television moment. Kelly, meanwhile, stood frozen for a second, processing the fallout. Her attempt to have an honest conversation about privilege, messaging, and authenticity had turned into a spectacle neither of them could control. The room was tense, the audience unsure how to react, and the cameras captured every second, leaving nothing to the imagination. In the end, what was supposed to be a celebratory interview about Reese's accomplishments became a vivid lesson about perception, power, and the fragile balance between intention and impact. Both women walked away with the weight of the moment on their shoulders, knowing that this interaction would define public conversations about them for a long time. It was a moment that showed just how complicated, messy, and emotional conversations about success, privilege, and authenticity can be when played out on a national stage. Reese's departure left a silence that seemed to stretch forever. The echoes of the heated discussion still lingering in the minds of everyone present. Kelly, still in her chair, took a moment to breathe, reflecting on how quickly things had escalated and how even the most well-intentioned questions can ignite unexpected reactions. The cameras kept rolling, ensuring that every word, every gesture, and every expression would be scrutinized, analyzed, and discussed endlessly. The clash between Reese Witherspoon and Kelly Clarkson had officially become one of the most talked about moments in daytime television, a stark reminder that even friendly interviews can turn into battles of perception and principle, and that public figures must navigate a minefield of expectations, interpretations, and opinions with every word they speak. This confrontation was more than just a television moment, it was a snapshot of the challenges successful women face in being both relatable and powerful, vocal and humble, seen and respected. It left audiences divided, emotions raw, and the lesson clear: the line between authenticity and perception is delicate, and even well-intentioned discussions can spiral into conflict when the weight of public scrutiny bears down too heavily. Reese's final words hung in the air, sharp and definitive, a reminder that no one else controls your story. Kelly's expression showed the cost of navigating complex conversations in front of millions, where good intentions can collide with interpretation and emotion in ways that are impossible to predict. The moment was raw, uncomfortable, and unforgettable, marking a rare glimpse into the reality of Hollywood success, the challenges of public advocacy, and the human emotions that underlie even the most polished interviews. The cameras captured every detail, from the trembling hands to the tightened jaw, to the small gestures that betrayed the underlying tension. What was supposed to be a light-hearted exchange about Reese's latest projects transformed into an exploration of authenticity, privilege, and the pressures of being a successful woman, showing just how thin the line is between admiration and criticism, support and confrontation.